I found out my dream was stolen while eating a microwave burrito in my car. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I always park under the dead oak tree behind the clinic on Tuesdays, less foot traffic. I had just clocked out of a 12-hour shift. My feet were screaming, and I was trying to psych myself up to check the IVF fund one more time, just to see it, to remind myself it was real, that after 3 years of ramen dinners, skipped vacations, and selling half my closet on Poshmark, I had finally hit 20,137.50. I opened the app, entered my password, waited. Balance 74.19. I blinked, hit refresh, still 74.19. My heart didn't drop, it detonated. I stared at the screen like it was a joke, like maybe the app was glitching. But deep down, I knew. I knew in the same way you know when someone's lying to your face. Cold, immediate, undeniable. My name is Rosalie, and 3 years of my life vanished in a single loading screen. I called the bank, got transferred 3 times. Finally, a woman named Linda told me there had been two large withdrawals, $10,000 and $9,800, both authorized by someone listed as a co-owner, my mother. I didn't even know she was on the account. I drove straight to their house. Didn't call, didn't think. I was halfway up the front steps before I realized I'd left my burrito on the dashboard, uneaten. The door opened before I knocked. Rosalie, Mom said, like I'd shown up to borrow sugar. She wore a silk robe and had a glass of wine in hand. It was 4 in the afternoon. Where's Dad? I asked. In the den, she said. What's wrong? I pushed past her. You know what's wrong. Dad was on the couch watching golf. He muted the TV when he saw me. I want to know why $20,000 is missing from my IVF fund, I said. My voice was steady, too steady, the kind of calm that comes before a storm. He looked at Mom. She took a sip of wine, then sighed like I was being difficult. We meant to talk to you, she said. Then talk. It was for Kaya's wedding, she said, like that explained everything. She needed help with the venue deposit and flights and the dress. I laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. So you stole it. We didn't steal anything, Dad said quickly. We're listed on the account. It's technically a family. It's my money, I snapped. I worked for it. I saved every cent. That account was for IVF. You knew that. You're being dramatic, Mom said. Kaya's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. You'll have another chance. I stared at her. You think I can just restart fertility treatments like a Netflix show? She didn't answer. Do you know what I put my body through? I said louder now. The hormones, the failed cycles, the surgeries, and you, God, you took it for a fish and wedding? It wasn't just a wedding, she said. It's family. You should be happy for your sister. I turned to Dad. You knew? He looked down. We thought we'd pay it back eventually. When? I asked. After the honeymoon? After the baby shower? Oh, wait, that's me. I'm the one who can't have kids. Don't make this about you, Mom said sharply. I stared at her. It was my money. You're always so jealous of Kaya, she said. It's exhausting. That hit harder than anything else. Not the money, not the betrayal. That sentence. I walked out, didn't slam the door, didn't say goodbye, just walked. I sat in my car for a long time. The burrito was cold. I threw it out the window. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Dad. Rosie, please don't tell anyone. It would ruin everything. Kaya's wedding, it's important. Just let it go. We'll make it right eventually. Please. Eventually, I played it twice. Then I opened my notes app and wrote 3 words. They chose her. And I promised myself that would be the last time they ever did. I didn't cry, not once. Not when I played the voicemail again, not when I checked the bank records 5 more times. Not even when I called the clinic and canceled my IVF cycle. I got to work. First, I pulled up every email confirmation from the bank, the ones I'd ignored because I trusted the account was safe. Buried in the fine print, authorized withdrawal of $10,000 initiated by secondary account holder. Then another $9,800. The dates matched the same week Kaya had posted a photo of a beachfront villa with the caption, "Dreams do come true, Serukaya and Dill forever." I took screenshots, saved them to a folder I titled Truth. Next, I logged into my cloud drive and uploaded copies of the bank statements, the voicemail, and every monthly deposit I'd made into that account. 3 years of sacrifice in black and white, my name on every line. I stared at the screen, then I texted Zella. Me. You busy? Zella. Always. What's up? Me. I need to tell you something. It's bad. Zella. Wine or whiskey? Me. Both. She showed up 20 minutes later with a bottle in each hand and a face that said she was ready to commit a felony on my behalf. I told her everything. When I finished, she was quiet for a second. Then she said, "That's not just betrayal, that's theft." "Technically, they're on the account," I said. "Technically, my boss is on the office Keurig, but if he drinks my last pod, I'll still key his car." I laughed. First time in days. "You're not crazy," she said. "You're not jealous. You're not overreacting. This is war." I nodded. Then I need ammo. That weekend, I went to the family brunch. It was at some overpriced bistro downtown. Kaya had rented out the private room and decorated it like a Pinterest board exploded. Rose gold everything, custom name cards, a neon sign that said "Bride Vibes." I walked in like nothing was wrong. Mom air kissed me. "Rosalie, you look tired. Are you eating enough?" "Plenty," I said, smiling tightly. Kaya floated over in a white romper and heels that probably cost more than my rent. "So glad you came. We were just talking about the bachelorette trip. We're thinking Bora Bora." "Sounds expensive," I said. She laughed like I'd told a joke. "Luckily, I got the best parents in the world." I glanced at Mom. Her smile twitched. The waiter brought mimosas. Kaya stood up, clinking her glass. "I just want to take a moment to thank Mom and Dad," she said, eyes shining, "for making this wedding everything I ever dreamed of. I'm so lucky to have you." Everyone clapped. I didn't. Dad looked at me, briefly, then away. After brunch, while everyone was taking selfies in front of the neon sign, I slipped away, found the den, the office, the place I used to do homework while Kaya had dance recitals and cheer tryouts. Dad's desk was unlocked. He never changed. I opened the bottom drawer and found it, a leather-bound ledger. He still kept paper records, old school. I flipped through until I found it. 2011, Rosalie's College Fund, $12,000 transfer to Kaya, student loan, payoff. I stared at the page, then snapped a photo. 12 years ago. I dropped out after one semester, thinking I couldn't afford it. They told me the fund had been used for house repairs. I walked out of that house with a smile on my face and fire in my chest. Later that night, Zella and I sat on my couch, wine glasses in hand, laptop open. "You've got receipts," she said. "Literal receipts." "Yeah. Now what?" I scrolled through the folder. "Now I stop playing nice." She raised her glass. "To revenge." I clinked mine against hers. "To truth." My phone buzzed. A text from Kaya. "Hey, can you Venmo me $80 for the brunch? Forgot to split the bill." I stared at it. Then I sent back one word. No. The reconciliation lunch was held at my parents' house, which already told me everything I needed to know. I showed up anyway. Mom opened the door like she was hosting a garden party. Rosalie, she said, all syrup and smiles, we're so glad you came. Dad stood awkwardly in the foyer, hands tucked into his pockets. Kaya was perched at the dining table like a smug little bird, sipping iced tea with a straw and scrolling through her phone. Let's sit, Mom said, gesturing toward the table like a maitre d'. I sat at the far end. No one offered me a drink. So, Kaya said, tucking her phone away, we just wanted to clear the air. There's been tension. You stole from me, I said flatly. Dad winced. Mom gave a tight smile. Rosalie, let's not use inflammatory language. What should I call it then? A donation I didn't know I made? Kaya rolled her eyes. God, you're still on this? Yes, I snapped. Because it was my IVF fund, my future, and you used it to pay for a fucking flower wall. It was more than that, Mom said. It was a family decision. No, I said. It was your decision, and you made it without me. Dad cleared his throat. We're here to apologize. Go ahead. He looked at Mom. She gave him a nod like she was feeding him his lines. We're sorry, he said. We didn't mean to hurt you. That's it? I asked. Kaya leaned forward. Look, I get that you're upset, but this wedding is a huge deal. It's not just about me, it's about our whole family. You could have been part of it, but instead you're making it all about you. I stared at her. You're welcome. She blinked. What? For your dream wedding. You're welcome. Oh my God, she said, laughing. You're so bitter. You've always been bitter. Enough, Mom said sharply. This isn't helping. I turned to her. You knew I was saving for IVF. You knew how hard I worked, and you didn't even ask. We didn't think you'd go through with it, she said. You're not even dating anyone. I don't need a man to want a child. She tilted her head. You're not a mother. You wouldn't understand doing everything for your children. The silence after that was loud. I stood up. You know what? You're right. I'm not a mother, but apparently neither are you. Dad stood too. Rosie, please. I pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped the screen. I recorded this, by the way. Mom's smile cracked. What? This whole conversation, just in case I need to remind myself how little I matter to this family. Kaya scoffed. You're so dramatic. I walked to the door, and you're so predictable. As I opened it, Mom called after me. What are you going to do with that recording? I turned back. Whatever I want. That night, I uploaded the audio file to the truth folder. Then I called an old college friend, Leah, who worked at a small law firm downtown. I need some advice, I said. We met the next day in her office. I laid it all out, every document, every transfer, every receipt. She flipped through the pages, eyebrows raised. They were listed as co-owners? Yeah, I didn't even know. She nodded. It complicates things, but not fatally. If you can prove they used the funds for something outside the agreed purpose, especially without your consent, you might have a civil case. Like what? Small claims? Possibly, or misappropriation of funds. Depends on how far you want to take it. I leaned back. I don't want money. I want the truth out. She tapped the folder. You got a case, but more than that, you've got evidence. That's power. I left her office and sat in my car, staring at the dashboard. Then I opened my phone and renamed the folder, Operation Truth. Later that week, Kaya posted a photo of her wedding dress. Caption, she said yes to the dress. Thanks to my amazing parents for making dreams come true. I screenshotted it, added it to the folder. Then I opened my voice memo app and hit record. This is Rosalie, and this is the story of how my family stole my future to pay for a wedding. Let's begin. I hadn't seen Jonah in 6 years. He messaged me out of nowhere after I posted a photo of the ocean with no caption. It wasn't subtle. I'd driven to the coast after work just to breathe something that didn't smell like antiseptic or betrayal. I guess he still followed me. Jonah, that view looks familiar. Me, still your favorite spot. Jonah, you still drink your coffee black and your revenge ice cold? I laughed. First real one in days. We met up at a dive bar on the edge of town, the kind with sticky tables, cheap beer, and a jukebox that only played blues or heartbreak. He looked the same, a little older, more beard, same crooked smile. Rosie, he said, pulling me into a hug, you look like you're about to burn down a village. Maybe just a wedding, I said. We sat in a booth in the corner away from the noise. I told him everything, the savings, the theft, the brunch, the recording. He didn't interrupt, just listened, eyes locked on mine. When I finished, he leaned back. Damn. Yeah. They always favored Kaya, huh? I nodded. Since birth. I remember that time in high school, he said. You got into that writing camp in Chicago, and your mom said it was too far. But 2 weeks later, Kaya got flown to L.A. for a modeling audition. I blinked. You remember that? Of course I do. You cried in my car for an hour. I looked down at my drink. I used to think if I just worked hard enough, they'd notice me, like really see me. He was quiet for a second. They don't deserve you. I shook my head. It's not about that anymore. It's about what they took. He leaned in. Just promise me something. What? When you burn their world down, make sure you're ready to walk through the ashes. I didn't answer. The next day, I visited my old childhood bedroom. It still smelled like lemon cleaner and disappointment. I was digging through boxes when I heard a knock. I opened the door to find Hannah, my cousin from Mom's side. We hadn't talked in years. Hey, she said, glancing around like she'd been followed. Can we talk? We sat on the porch steps. I saw your post, she said, the one with the waves. I raised an eyebrow. That's what brought you here? She hesitated. No, I've been meaning to reach out. There's something you need to know. I waited. Your mom took out a second mortgage years ago, in your name. I blinked. What? She used your info, said it was for family renovations. My dad helped her with the paperwork. He felt guilty for years. I felt the air leave my lungs. How much? About 20 grand. Paid off last year. Guess how? My stomach turned. The IVF fund. She nodded. That's fraud, I said. I know. I stared at the street. Why are you telling me this? Because I've watched them do this to you your whole life, and I'm done pretending it's normal. I swallowed hard. Thank you. She stood. Also, Dylan? What about him? He's not who he says he is. I narrowed my eyes. Explain. I used to work at a PR firm in Austin. We had a client, Whitney Henry. She was engaged to a guy named Dylan. Same last name, same face. The wedding got called off, quietly. But there were rumors. What kind of rumors? Domestic stuff, money stuff. She moved states to get away from him. My pulse kicked up. Do you have her info? She pulled out a card. She's willing to talk. She said if you called, she'd pick up. I took the card. Why are you really helping me? Hannah looked at me, eyes sharp. Because if you don't stop them, they'll keep doing it. And one day it'll be someone who can't recover. She walked away without another word. That night I called Whitney. She answered on the second ring. Hello? Hi, my name's Rosalie. I think we have a Dylan in common. Silence. Then, I was wondering when someone would call. We talked for an hour. She told me about the gaslighting, the control, the way he used money to isolate her. Then she sent me an audio file, him screaming at her over a credit card charge. It made my skin crawl. Would you be willing to share this? I asked. Under one condition, she said. I want to be there when it happens. When what happens? When you destroy him. I smiled. You free next weekend? She laughed. I'll buy a dress. I added her file to the truth folder. Then I opened a blank document and typed, Wedding Toast Draft. Thank you all for coming. Let's talk about what love really looks like. The cafe was quiet, the kind of place with chipped mugs and faded menus. Hannah sat across from me, stirring her coffee like she was trying to dissolve a secret. I pulled the deed records, she said, sliding a folder across the table. It's all there. The second mortgage was filed under your name. Signatures forged, but it passed because your mom had access to your social. I opened the folder. My name, my fake signature, my future sold off like a pawn ticket. She used it to pay off the first loan, Hannah continued, the one she took out when Kaya dropped out of grad school. I looked up. Wait, what loan? She said it was for emergency expenses. My dad co-signed, but the money went straight to Kaya's tuition and apartment. I closed the folder. So I've been funding her life since she was 20. Hannah nodded, and she has no idea. I leaned back in the booth, heart pounding. This wedding isn't just a wedding, it's a cover-up. Exactly. I pulled out my phone and added the deed photos to the truth folder. Then I texted Zella. Me. We need to meet tonight. Bring your laptop. Zella showed up with her laptop, a bottle of wine, and a look that said she was ready to commit a felony. I laid everything out. The mortgage, the tuition, the forged signature. She whistled. Your mom's got bigger balls than I thought. She's been playing puppet master for years, I said. Kaya's just the doll. Zella started typing. We need visuals, a timeline, receipts, bank statements, photos. If we're going to do this, it needs to be cleaned. We're doing it at the wedding. She looked up. You're serious? I'm giving a toast. She grinned. God, I love you. We worked until 2 a.m., building a slideshow. First slide, a photo of me and Kaya as kids. She's in a princess dress. I'm in hand-me-downs. Then the bank transfers, the forged mortgage, the voicemail from Dad, and finally the audio clip from Whitney. The last slide was simple. This is what love really looks like. The next day, I met Whitney at a diner off the highway. She wore sunglasses and a leather jacket like she expected paparazzi. I'm not doing this for you, she said, stirring her tea. I'm doing it because no one warned me. I get it. She slid me a USB. That's everything. Emails, texts, the audio. Use whatever you want. You sure? She nodded. He doesn't get to keep doing this. I hesitated. What happened after you left him? I started over, different city, changed my number, but I still check his name every few months just in case. I swallowed. You're brave. She laughed. No, I'm just tired. I reached into my bag and pulled out an invitation. You're my +1. She raised an eyebrow. You're bringing me to the wedding? Front row. She smiled. Then I'll wear red. That night Jonah came over. He watched the slideshow without saying a word. When it ended, he looked at me. This is going to blow up everything. I know. He leaned forward. And what happens after? I don't know. He nodded slowly. You're not doing this for revenge anymore, are you? No, I said. I'm doing it so the next time they lie, they choke on it. He stood up, walked over, and pulled me into a hug. You're not alone, he said into my hair. I held on to him a little longer than I meant to. The wedding was 3 days away. I scheduled the slideshow to auto-upload to a public link 2 hours after the toast. I backed it up on 3 drives. One went to Zella, one to Jonah, one to a safety deposit box. I printed out a transcript of my toast and folded it into my clutch. Then I looked in the mirror and said out loud, "They don't get to write the ending." My phone buzzed. A message from Kaya. "Can't wait to see you this weekend, sis. So glad we're all good now." I stared at it. Then I smiled. Cheered me. Wouldn't miss it for the world. The wedding venue looked like something out of a luxury magazine. White roses, gold chairs, glass chandeliers dangling from a tent that probably cost more than my car. Servers floated around with trays of champagne, and every guest had a custom monogram fan because the bride doesn't sweat, she glows. I walked in with Whitney by my side, both of us in black. "You sure about this?" she asked, adjusting her sunglasses. "Too late to back out now," I said, scanning the crowd. "Besides, you look like vengeance." She smirked. "You look like karma." Zella met us near the bar wearing a navy jumpsuit and a grin that could slice glass. "Everything's uploaded," she said, handing me a flash drive. "Fail-safe's in place. Dropbox link goes live at 6:45. That gives you enough time to toast, mic drop, and exit before the fireworks." Literal fireworks? Apparently, Kaya's finale is a drone light show spelling out "Forever Starts Now." I blinked. God help us. Jonah arrived 10 minutes later, suit pressed, hair slicked back. He handed me a small envelope. "What's this?" "Letter from your lawyer friend," he said, "just in case they try to spin this as slander." I tucked it into my clutch. "Thanks for coming." He looked at me. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." I took a deep breath and stepped into the sea of pastel dresses and fake smiles. Mom spotted me first. "Rosalie," she said, gliding over in a champagne-colored gown. "You came." I said I would. She touched my arm like everything was fine. "I'm so glad you've let things go. Family's too important to hold grudges." I smiled. "You're right. Family is everything." Her eyes narrowed just a touch, like she sensed something off. Then Kaya appeared, practically floating in her lace gown. "Rosie," she squealed, hugging me like we were best friends. "You look amazing." "So do you," I said. "This is a lot." "Go big or go home, right?" She laughed. "I'm just so happy you're here. I told Mom you'd come around." I looked her straight in the eye. "Wouldn't miss it." The ceremony started late, of course. Kaya made her entrance to a string quartet version of Beyoncé's Halo. Dylan stood at the altar in a white tux, grinning like he owned the world. They exchanged bows that sounded like Instagram captions, kissed dramatically, and walked back down the aisle to applause and bubbles. Then came the reception. I ate nothing, drank water, smiled at people I didn't recognize, waited. At 6:30, the DJ tapped the mic. "All right, everyone, time for a few words from our lovely maid of honor, Rosalie." I stood slowly, heart pounding, and walked to the stage. Mom clapped. Dad looked relieved. Kaya beamed, hand in Dylan's. I took the mic. "Hi, everyone," I said, voice steady. "For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rosalie, Kaya's older sister." Polite applause. I wasn't always sure I'd be standing up here. We've had our ups and downs like any family. But today I want to talk about love. I paused, looked around the room. Love is sacrifice. It's choosing someone else's happiness even when it costs you. It's honesty, loyalty, protecting the people you care about. I glanced at Kaya, and sometimes love is letting go. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a small remote. Before I go on, I'd like to share something. The screen behind me lit up. Slide 1, a photo of me and Kaya as kids. Slide 2, a screenshot of the bank account, 2,130 Slide 3, the withdrawals, the dates, the names. A ripple went through the room. Slide 4, the voicemail from Dad. His voice played over the speakers. Rosie, please don't tell anyone. It would ruin everything. Gasps, murmurs. Slide 5, the forged mortgage document. Slide 6, Dylan's audio, his voice angry, cruel. You think I need you? I made you. I'll ruin you if you leave. Whitney stood up slowly, removing her sunglasses. Kaya's face drained of color. Dylan stood, fists clenched. Mom bolted from her seat. Turn it off! I looked at her. Why? You always said I was too quiet. The final slide appeared. This is what love really looks like. The room was silent, then chaos. Dylan stormed out, shouting at someone on the phone. Kaya burst into tears. Mom lunged toward the stage, but Jonah stepped in front of her. Don't, he said calmly. Cameras flashed, guests whispered. Someone live streamed it. Dad sat frozen, hands in his lap. I stepped down from the stage. Mom grabbed my arm. You'll regret this. I looked her dead in the eyes. Not as much as you made me regret being your daughter. I walked past Kaya, who was sobbing into her bouquet. Congrats, I said. You finally got the attention you always wanted. Then I walked out into the night, the sound of drone motors buzzing behind me, spelling out a lie in the sky. People say silence is peaceful. They've never walked through the kind that follows a bomb. I stood just outside the tent, the night air thick with tension. Inside, the wedding had collapsed into chaos. The string quartet had stopped playing. The caterers looked like they wanted to disappear. Guests whispered in tight little circles, eyes darting toward Kaya, who sat crumpled in a chair, mascara streaking down her face. Zella joined me outside, phone in hand. The link's live, already getting shared. How bad is it? She turned the screen toward me. Comments were pouring in under the video. This is insane. I'd sue my parents into the ground. That sister is a legend. Kaya's a whole villain. I took a breath. It's done. Not yet, she said. Look. We turned. Mom was storming toward me, heels digging into the grass like she was about to bury someone. You smug little, she hissed. Jonah stepped between us again, calm as ever. Don't. She glared at him, then back at me. You've ruined everything. No, I said. I revealed it. You humiliated your sister on the most important day of her life. She humiliated herself when she spent my future on a flower wall. Dad jogged up behind her, panting. We need to go. People are filming. Mom spun on him. Do something. He looked at me, then the crowd, then back at her. And for once he didn't say a word. She turned back to me. You think this makes you better than us? No, I said, just free. Security showed up. One of the venue managers whispered something to them and pointed at my parents. A second later, they were being escorted off the property. Kaya didn't move. She just sat there, frozen, staring at the screen where her perfect life had shattered. Whitney walked up beside her, quiet, calm. She looked down at Kaya. I hope you make better choices than I did, she said, then turned and walked away. Jonah touched my arm. You okay? I nodded once. Yeah. Inside, the DJ tried to salvage the night with some soft jazz. A few guests drifted toward the bar, unsure of whether to stay or run. I walked back into the tent. Kaya finally looked up. Her voice cracked. Why would you do this? I crouched beside her. Because I begged for years to be seen, and no one looked. You could have just talked to me. I did. You weren't listening. She wiped her face with a napkin. Dylan's gone. Good. I loved him. I stood. Then maybe now you'll learn what real love looks like? She didn't answer. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my wrist. Wait, she said. Is it all true? The mortgage? The money? I looked her in the eyes. Every word. She let go. I walked out of the tent for the last time. The next morning it was everywhere. The video had gone viral overnight. Brutal wedding toast exposes family lies was trending. A gossip blog picked it up, then a feminist podcast, then a legal TikTok creator who broke down the mortgage fraud in a 3-part series. Dylan's company issued a statement by noon. We have severed all ties. Kaya posted a black square with white text. Taking time to heal. Please respect my privacy. Mom deleted her Facebook. Dad's LinkedIn vanished. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls, texts, interview requests. I ignored them all. Jonah showed up at my door with bagels and coffee. You're famous, he said, handing me a cup. I didn't want fame. I know. We sat on my couch, the news playing in the background. A panel of strangers debated whether I was a hero or a monster. Jonah turned it off. They don't matter. I know. He looked at me. So what now? I pulled out a small envelope from the coffee table. I'm going to the clinic. He blinked. You're still doing IVF? I shook my head. No, I'm donating the rest of the fund. There's a woman on the wait list. Single mom, 2 failed cycles. She's next in line. Jonah smiled. That's beautiful. It's not forgiveness, I said. It's closure. He nodded. You're free now. I took a sip of coffee and looked out the window. Yeah, I said. I really am. The clinic smelled like lavender and antiseptic. Soft music played overhead, something instrumental and hopeful. A receptionist looked up from her screen as I approached the front desk. Hi, can I help you? I nodded, holding out the envelope. I'd like to make a donation for IVF assistance. I was told there's a woman on the wait list who's been trying for a while. She took the envelope, opened it, and blinked. This is a lot. 20,000, I said. Every cent I saved. She looked stunned. Do you want to remain anonymous? No, I said. She should know it came from someone who understands. The receptionist smiled, eyes soft. I'll make sure she knows she's not alone. I nodded and turned to leave. Out in the parking lot, the sun was warm, not blinding, just enough to feel real. Jonah waited by my car, leaning against the door, arms crossed. You did it? Yeah. He opened the passenger side and slid in. Want to drive? I started the engine. Where to? Anywhere but here. We ended up at the beach, the same one I'd driven to the day I found out my account was empty, only now I wasn't hollow, just lighter. We walked along the shoreline, shoes in hand, waves licking at our ankles. So, he said, what does life look like now? I shrugged. Quiet, honest, mine. He looked over. You ever think about trying again, the baby thing? I paused. I think about it. I just don't want to chase something out of grief anymore. He nodded. That makes sense. We sat in the sand watching the tide roll in. My phone buzzed. A message from Hannah. Hannah. Kaya's staying with a friend. She's not talking to Mom or Dad. Just thought you should know. I showed Jonah the screen. She'll be okay, he said. I hope so. He looked at me. You don't hate her, do you? I shook my head. No, I just finally stopped needing her to love me the way I wanted. He nudged my shoulder. You're kind of incredible. You know that? I smiled. Took me a while to believe it. A little girl ran past us, chasing a kite. Her mom followed, laughing, arms outstretched. I watched them for a moment, then stood. Come on, I said. Let's get ice cream. Jonah raised an eyebrow. You? Yeah, I think I'm allowed to want something sweet now. We walked toward the boardwalk, the wind picking up, the past finally behind me. Not erased, not forgotten, just done.